Hi, welcome to the Rob and Bird podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Bird. We're here to bring hope and motivation to those in the struggle. We're in it too. We cannot afford to give up.
We're basically cheerleaders. The road to success will be hard, but we want you to know you're not alone.
All right, well, let's get to it, Rob. What do we have diving into today's episode?
Well, networking is important. How do you network, Bird?
Me, I talk a lot. But I gotta be careful because, yes, talking too much can drive them away. Welcome, everyone.
You don't say that you talk too much. You don't say.
No, I just, I've talked your ear off, like your ears dropped it. Remember in college when you were like busy working hard on your film and I interrupted you by just talking about nothing important, like YouTube stuff?
There's a reason why I hang out alone in one of the rooms.
But then, good thing those rooms are kind of open, so it's anybody can just walk in and say, "Hey." It all starts with, "Hey, what are you working on? That's your scene? You drew that? That's cool." But yeah. We today's episode we're definitely doing a little talk about networking today, and yeah, what to do. I mean, things that we've known from our experience, if it's helpful to you, because we know animators are very introverted, at least for the most part. We kind of don't really go out and talk to a bunch of people, and when we do, we're just like, "Hi, I do cartoons. My name is blah blah."
Well, artists in general are that way, whether you're talking about animators, cartoonists, even magicians, almost certainly writers. Writers, I'd imagine, are particularly
They
notorious for
probably
that.
just text you what they're gonna say in the conversation in the party, like "Hi," and then you see them typing on their phone. They show you their message, like, "Oh, you're a writer. Oh, that's how you communicate."
They're right. Well, they're writers. Of course, they're going to
Instead
do
of
that.
just casual say hello, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah. Yes, I love to write." Oh man, yeah, I'm a strange beast. I talk to people. I say what's on my mind, and I say it to Rob right in his face. And I animate, but I think what's good is that when you allow yourself to kind of get a little uncomfortable, just get into conversation circles, starting small with just saying, "Hey, I like your, like your hat," or "I saw your work on," if you did see that person's work on this theater or on some sort of event like film screenings and stuff. If anything, those are good starters, and if anything, you could just go up to just people and just have a drink and be relaxed, even if they're looking at you, because there's always going to be people looking at you, and that doesn't mean anything really, or maybe not. I don't know. What do you think, Rob? How do you go about it?
I mean, you never know the kind of people that you're going to meet. At the end of the day, the the best way to talk to people is to talk to people that I think. I think the best way to talk to people is talk to people who are maybe your classmates, as it was with Bert and I. Um, Other times, maybe a good way to introduce yourself is like at a bar where people are just socializing, or at a party, as we've mentioned, or maybe it's something as simple as walking up to the cashier and saying hello, please, and thank you.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, if anything, it can be hard for some of us because you're just like you don't know the person. Say you're at a networking event, it can be difficult.
I mean, I think that the first thing is to get comfortable just talking. I mean, not everyone is going to be a social butterfly. I'm not. Bird might be, but I'm
Well,
not.
it's bird, social bird,
And
but go on.
it takes a while for each person to figure out how they communicate with other people. I know for me there was a moment in my life where I was going into a new school, and my thoughts were there's no one is gonna know who I am in this school. So this is a perfect opportunity to reinvent myself.
Yeah, you know, I didn't think about it before, but now that you say that, I kind of felt the same way. Because going from my regular high school to this focused animation school, I got to meet people more in that realm and see different degrees of like talent and understanding of animation and film. And I kind of just was happier in a way because I was like, now I'm with a group of people with like mindedness, you know, and then I just got excited and I just go up to them and go, hey, what are you working on? What are your ideas? What are you into? And I would just see their work and ask their influences. And they would ask me, of course. It's like how you ask someone what's their favorite film, animated wise, you know. Some will say the Ghibli films. Some will say the Ralph Bakshi films, like Fire and Ice, which to me I didn't discover until college. And that those films I didn't even know what rotoscoping was. And I was like, whoa, that's like tracing, but not really. You're creating like works, like you're adding to basically a reference pose in each frame. But anyhow, I learned more and more as I spoke to each and every person I came towards at school. It also allowed me to understand different perspectives of how they see art and the world and where they felt themselves, you know, where they felt they fit in the industry, if that makes sense.
I think that's another way of getting to know people is you can just geek out on whatever thing that you are interested in. For instance, Bird likes to talk about Lord of the Rings to me, and I also like Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I like Lord of the Rings as much as Bird, but I know I've read the books. And Bird, did you read the Lord of the Rings?
I read The Hobbit. No, I watched the animated films. And we're talking, you know, like the ones that were done, I think in the like late 70s, 80s. Um and but what's crazy is like I was into that and the Blizzard's Warcraft 2, and that stuff just like blew my mind, and that's what I was more into, the visuals, the designs, the world, the lore to a degree. But I didn't read Lord of the Rings, and I can't believe you weren't into it. Maybe you misread it. Okay, that no, Rob, I don't accept that. Read it again.
But that's how a lot of people in our industry, in a lot of industries, really, that's how people get to know each other. You have something that inspires you, and you want to talk about it, like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, or the popular thing these days is Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire.
Yes, I like that song.
So
I'm
yeah,
kidding. I don't know. I mean, I watched Game of Thrones, but I didn't read those books. I should read a book. Anyways, go on, Rob.
but don't try to don't go out of your way to try to impress someone. Just try to bring up conversation. Hey, your stuff reminds me of this. Your stuff reminds me of that. You know, like, oh, did you get this from this media? Like, you like drawing swords and archery,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So maybe bring up Lord of the Rings. Maybe bring up Song of Ice and Fire. Maybe bring up one of the video games like Baldur's Gate 3 or Dragon Age or
Or
something.
if they're into comedy, you could bring up stuff like stuff they've seen in Comedy Central, or like I know, what is it? One show I worked on is as I started as an intern was Ugly Americans. Sometimes there are things out there, and there was like what there was a show called Super Jail. That was nuts. That was a pretty sick show. Um, but with that said, there's always so many things one can chain to a subject and talk about, and that's when you have a conversation, and then you get to know more about that person's interests. Um, but within networking, it's always important to just try and relax and be as casual as possible and not overthink about what others are thinking as they're looking at you. Because if anything, they're just trying to get to know you. Mainly the people that really care.
At the end of the day, the person that you're talking to is just another human being. Has his or her own interests or their own subject matters, that their own likes and dislikes, vices and virtues. They're just people. And I think often people tend to think about what they can get out of someone else. Everyone is thinking, what can I get out of this person? Like, that's a I think that that's one of the problems, because these people who are up there, they get this talk all the time. What are you going to do to stand out? And I think the best way to stand out is just relax and try to approach them like human beings. It's not always easy, but that's that's a way to do it. And just, you don't necessarily need to talk about their work. You can just say, "Oh, your work reminds me of this other work. Did you ever read this? Did you ever watch that? Did you listen to this song?"
Yeah. It's always I always felt like I always when I get in conversations, I tend to want to know what that person wants to do career wise. And I don't like my head just thinks about the future and what maybe if interests align with what I'm into, I start to want to consider working with them, not what I can get out of them. Because getting something out of someone is such a short term in my head like way to think. Because then you get something and then you just that's it. You got what you wanted, but there's nothing else to think about in the for future for the both of you, in work wise. So I tend to think like, for example, you and me, Rob, right? Even though I got to meet you and we became friends in school, I wasn't like, what can I get out of this guy? I was like, what does this guy want to do? I'm really curious. And at the same time, over the years, whenever I got work and I was told, hey, we're looking for an animator. And I go, I think I know someone that could do some of this stuff. And then I contacted you for was it Bitcoin and Friends?
Yeah.
See if you were free. And you were available. And then we got you in. And I was like, awesome. I get to work with the cool guy that I got to talk to back in school. Now we can talk on the side while we're working. And we got our stuff, our scenes done and everything. So I kind of like having a shared experience. And I think that's what's important for us to understand is that we living a life where we should try and be willing to learn more from each other and have a shared experience so that we become better for each other. Because we never know when we are needing a hand, like someone to help us out and say work is dry and we're in a dry spell, that person remembers us for being there for them. And it's a good feeling, I think. It's fun because it's like that's the life I know I want to be in. I don't want to be in a life where I'm like I'm on top of whatever I'm doing, but alone. I kind of don't like that. I like to be on top and then or amongst great people and then lift them up with me. Pull them up and say, "Hey, dude, let's go up this way. Let's see what's on the other side." If you get my own.
Well, at the same time, I don't think that you should just be a yes man. Don't don't try to appease someone simply because this person's famous or whatever. Like Bird said, like figure out where you align with, and if you can help them with that vision, that's great. Like it's you should be getting something out of it. They should be getting something out of it.
The other day, it's all in all, this is the artistic journey, and with any other industry too. Like let's say you're someone who's passionate about farming, or you're a botanist, or a construction worker, or an engineer. You definitely want to be around people who are passionate about similar concerns that you want to fix or improve on, or see if you make the next best thing. Who knows? The money comes along eventually, but what matters is that you make something that benefits each other and everyone around you. And I think that's the fun part, that journey. Um, for us, in our case, we're artists, we're animators, and also Rob is a writer who's writing his book, and we're really serious about what we want to do now. It doesn't need an audience yet, but it's something that we want to share and be able to entertain and also inform people of our ways of thinking and in through our stories, in our work, and also to be challenged by others who see otherwise.
But at the end of the day, just put on a smile and be the best version of yourself. Don't try to bend over backwards to be someone that you're not. Be honest and authentic. Don't try to offend people, not on purpose. Unless, like, they ask your opinion, just be honest with how you feel about things. And people are going to take notice. This person actually has a personality, actually has things that they believe in. And when you do that, they have to, because that makes them have to think, okay, this person might not be a good fit here, but he might be an excellent fit here.
Oh, totally, yeah. Because they'll recognize where your skill sets show strong, like where they're strong at. And another thing is also like, yeah, I would say there are times I get when us artists, we're desperate for work, and I think it's important to also like not show too much that you're like desperate for work, because then you start to look like all you care about is, hey, somebody, me, mine. And it's not an easy situation either. Like, I get it. Like, I've been in a spot where I needed work really bad, and I'm at a networking gathering event, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if someone can just come towards me and say, hey, you know what, I remember you, we got work. But I had to make sure that I keep my cool as best I could and just reach out to them and hear about what they're up to and what their upcoming projects are, and go, oh, cool, like, yeah, that sounds awesome, but only if they consider, hey, you know what, I might have something, or they might even say, I'd like to keep in contact with you and see if something comes up. And that's happened. And then you just go, okay, great. And then you have some leads. But it's important to also just make sure that you don't come off as give me something, I need something from you all the time. Because later on, they'll just remember you're just saying things for yourself and not, be someone of assistance to them. But with that said, definitely hope that this episode is helpful in any way in networking. This is basically how we experience and view some of these things and how it's done. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to us, and we really appreciate your time. And if you want to subscribe, great. And like this video, cool. And definitely shoot some comments at us. See what ideas you have, or even perspectives. We really like to hear from you guys. And thank you so much for listening.
Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. Lao Tzu. Thank you, and have a great day.